Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the presentation of our textile novelties for spring 2018. Our this year's collection is called Destinations, and it's dedicated to the fascination and magic of traveling. Even the famous adventurers of earlier times, like Marco Polo or Alexander von Humboldt, were curious what's behind their familiar horizons. They traveled through the world, exploring new worlds and unexpected ways of living. With curiosity and the spirit of discovery, my design team and me set out on a journey to find the most stunning designs, vibrant colors, beautiful textures, and amazing new fabrics for our new collection. I'm pleased to present you today the amazing result of our creative world tour. The first group of fabrics is representing a very urban style. You see on the table the primary, very contrasting, bold colors in the color blocking style. And the main fabric of this group is called Cosmopolitan, our advertisement fabric this year and our signature fabric for this season. Geometric design printed in a high-end digital print technique on a very heavy, elegant and sophisticated cotton sateen. It's accompanied by a beautiful second decoration fabric, which is called Festival. Festival plays with the same colors, but in a totally different way. It's all over viscose embroidery. You see the cotton ground is covered totally with this beautiful mix of primary colors, and it's realized on 100% cotton sateen, but a very light one. That's why it's draping so beautifully. The third main drapery fabric is this one called Geo, which plays also with geometric elements, but in a more subtle way, not in such a bold color line. Of course, we also need upholsteries in this group, and I'm proud to present you our new Infinity Velvet quality, which is called Infinity Cotton Feel. You know all from 2 years ago, our first velvet in this quality, it was Infinity Plus in a very elegant viscose look, a little bit more shiny on the surface with a very high pile. This new quality has a shorter pile, a very dense surface, and therefore it looks a little bit more dry and even more contemporary than Infinity Plus. The color palette speaks on its own, and it represents this vibrant and contemporary feeling which we see already here on the table in these three primary colors. But of course, we have a huge selection of many beautiful and exciting colors in this new waterfall. The Velvet West End gives a very elegant touch with this shiny high and low surface, a viscose velvet with geometric little patterns on an elegant cotton polyester sateen ground. We stay in the city with the same, almost the same group of fabrics, but in a totally different color atmosphere, more subtle, more elegant, but still very contemporary and very up-to-date with this beautiful and elegant mix of dusty pink and elegant silver grays. We have again Geo with this clear geometric design, Cosmopolitan, but in a much softer colorway. Festival, West End, and Lagoon, another beautiful drapery quality. Also very charming is the quality Sphere, a beautiful drapery quality which looks like embroidered, but actually it's a jacquard weave. And also another very charming upholstery quality which is called Ocean, woven in a very thick chenille yarn on a black and white warp, which gives it a very beautiful texture to it. Also, this upholstery comes in a very nice color palette, fitting beautifully this elegant world. The third color world of this urban group focuses more on a very fresh atmosphere, which we maybe find in a more sunny region like Miami, Palm Beach, or even Singapore, and gives a very lively and fresh look to this elegant scenery. Fitting into this natural atmosphere of fabrics, we offer a second novelty in our Infinity family. It's called Infinity Linen Look, and you see it here in a beautiful, elegant violet. It's a flat woven quality with a more linen-like appearance, very dry, very contemporary, and as the Infinity cotton feel, it comes also in a stunning color palette of 27 colors, which are very nice together with the whole tropical feeling, but of course with every other contemporary interior. From this very intense, exotic color world, we come to a more lighter, more softer mix of more pastel-orientated colors. And you see here, especially in our print design Paradiso, the beautiful watercolor effects in the original painting of this jungle motif. You can go on one side to a more warm combination of colors with mauve and a very warm gray, or you can combine this beautiful colorful print fabric also with more cooler colors, watercolors, also some dark brown in the mix, makes it a little bit more earthy, brings some interesting contrast into the group. And as you see, we love to mix different textures, shiny surfaces, matte surfaces, linens, sheers, and also upholstery in chenille qualities. So this makes this mix very exciting and attractive. In this group of earthy colors, the landscape is getting wider. We're heading up to a mountain landscape, as for example here in our second print fabric in this natural group, which is called Atlas. Again, a digital print made from a very beautiful paper collage artwork out of different crispy paper structures, which reminds also a little bit on marble textures, printed on a beautiful, softly draping linen sateen quality. Also Burma is like a landscape, more maybe a cloudy landscape in the sky with a beautiful mystic metallic shimmer on top, a really unique piece of textile art which you have to touch when you see it in life. You will see it has a very extraordinary touch and feel, and it's really like a piece of textile art. Also Marco Polo is made in an interesting textile technique. It's 100% viscose embroidery on a heavy chenille quality, and as you see, this checker design has a very contemporary and at the same time artisanal look. It's also a very nice recommendation to use it as a bedspread, for example, not only as a decoration fabric for the window. Our third collection theme has also a very natural look and is inspired by Asian original traditional textiles in handcrafted techniques, like for example this beautiful jacquard fabric, which reminds a little bit on a tie-dye fabric from Southeast Asia, or also we thought about a beautiful vintage wall, like the same story here, the print fabric Malaya on a linen, viscose and polyester semi-sheer ground, a screen print with beautiful metallic highlights inspired by African wall paintings. Actually, all drapery fabrics which we show here in this group are double width and washable, and also they have a very natural look. Most of them are polyester blends in the composition. In this Easy Care group, I would like to point out again our two new upholstery fabrics, Champ and Play, both with very nice soft hand and surfaces. Play attracts more through its multicolor color variations. You see it here very nicely in the waterfall. And Champ has a very soft chenille surface and impresses with its very deep and vibrant color waterfall. The last color arrangement I show you plays with beautiful, elegant reds in combination with chocolate browns and shades of cacao, for example. And this warm color palette is very beautifully represented by the color palettes of our faux leather program. You see here Costa, Map, and Havana.
I also want to welcome you, and I'm glad to present you the new wall covering collection called Heritage. We continue our journey that we started with a fabric collection of Zimmer Rohde, and also with the wall coverings, I want to take you to a trip around the globe. The cultural diversity includes countries in Europe and overseas as the origin of our inspiration and production. And this enables us to show you a large variety of all different kinds of wallpapers. To underline the Zimmer and Rohde identity, we connected both collections, the fabrics and the wall coverings, even more than we did before. And we show designs that you will find either for the wall as for the window. It is a sophisticated and surprising collection with strong and bold designs. We have exciting and interesting qualities and materials produced with skillful craftsmanship or in advanced technologies. I was talking about skillful craftsmanship, and this is a good introduction to our very first item I want to show you, because this is a very special piece of wall covering. It's a handcrafted wall covering called Tiles. Here, what you see is this beautiful checkerboard design. It's a handmade wall covering from overseas, and actually it's made out of 6 different steps. First step is to color the ground in the color we wanted. Second step is to paint a Japanese paper, then to crash this paper, this painted wet paper. Afterwards you flatten it, and then you rip it into these squares. The squares are laminated on the ground, and the very last step is to overpaint the squares. And that gives you this beautiful handmade appearance of this wall covering. Every piece of this wall covering is unique, but on the wall you have a beautiful surface and a nice checkerboard design with more or less contrast depending on what color you like to put it on the wall. So the second item I want to introduce is the item Reverie, here in front of me. It's a beautiful, all over, more reduced and subtle wall covering with a design that has an appearance like a Japanese landscape. And here we play with different shades of matte and sheen with a beautiful metallic patina on top. And also here you can choose between colors that are more subtle and reduced, so reduced appearance at the wall, or something very strong in a deep blue colorway. The next item I come to is a very special piece for this collection, because this continues what I told you before about connecting both collections. So the item Atlas Wall should look a bit familiar to you when you watched the fabric presentation before. We took the design of Atlas, we scaled the layout, and then we printed it in a digital print on a non-woven ground. This non-woven ground has a specialty. It has a beautiful, slightly shining surface. So you see the deepness of this mountain design, or if you can imagine, surfaces of different stones very beautifully. The next wall covering I'm coming to is called Stream. This is one of the more reduced wall coverings in a commercial width, the 70 centimeters on the roll of 10 meters. It's a beautiful, very deep three-dimensional embossing with a horizontal direction. It's a perfect combination in the room when you don't want to have a highlight, but something that is more reduced and subtle and introduces the whole interior scene. The very last item in this group I want to introduce is the beautiful and very special item called Strato. Strato is a very special piece of wall covering. It is made by a fil posé. So for all that know the very traditional and all technique of a fil posé, it's warp threads laminated on a ground. Usually you have like linen or linen-looking warp threads in all different kinds of thicknesses. In this case, it's an artificial raffia yarn, which makes it much more interesting and much more special. And this raffia yarn is painted in 4 different color shades. So when you bring it on the ground, it immediately appears as a beautiful random all-over design on the surface. So the first group I showed you was a bit more subtle and reduced and colored, more easy to use in the room. And now we come to a group with strong designs, as I told you before, very bold designs and also vibrant colors in a way. The very first item I want to present you is the item Paradiso Wall. This item should also look familiar to you because we have the design also on the fabric, and here I present it for you as a wall covering. I show you here a very vibrant, very lively jungle colorway that looks beautiful on the wall. It's a digital print on a raffia ground that might look familiar to you because we used it in the previous collection as well for the Fiori wall. It has a shiny surface where the raffia weaving is laminated on top, and then the digital print prints all over this raffia weaving. So a very beautiful highlighting wall in the room with this jungle story. The next I want to introduce the item Flirt to you, which is also a very special piece from overseas. It has a beautiful patina with this gold and silver effect, and this comes from also a very special procedure that is handmade actually. So also this item is made out of many different steps. The first step is that we have a foil that is in silver and gold shades. Then on this foil there is a Japanese paper laminated, and this Japanese paper is very open, has an open structure and an open surface. So when it's laminated on the foil, the spots of gold and silver come to the surface. Afterwards, the whole thing was cut into these stripes, into these little stripes and pieces. And then the stripes have been woven by hand on a loom. So if you come close, you will see the structure of the warp threads that makes it very special and very unique. What's also special about this piece, you don't have a perfect match when you put 2 lines together. So it will always appear as a very handcrafted piece on the wall. After these 2 very special wall coverings, I want to introduce the item Smoke to you, which is a more subtle and reduced wall covering, but even though it has a very nice appearance on the wall. The design was taken by a peacock. The peacock eye was taken and has been brought into a nice repeat that follows an all-over design on the wall. And you have a technique that brings some 3-dimensional effect on the surface. So you have a kind of sandy surface in comparison then with some parts that are quite glamorous with different color shades and a metallic highlight. Also in this group of these more subtle and reduced wall coverings is the wall covering sphere wall. Also this one should look familiar to you because we have this pretty little all-over design also in our fabrics as a beautiful small patterned all-over design, and we thought it would look beautiful at the wall as a very reduced wall covering that creates a beautiful interior and where you can easily play with all different kinds of fabrics in combination with this wall covering. So here we took the structure of the fabric sphere and reproduced it also in the more commercial way in a three-dimensional effect in combination with some metallic highlights, so you have a beautiful 3D effect on the wall. And the last item of this group and also of this collection is the item surface. Surface is also a very special piece because also here we use the technique of the fil posé, here more in the traditional ways. So very thin yarns that are laminated on a non-woven ground, and then on top we put a beautiful, extraordinary and expressive digital print. This print and design was inspired by a bark structure. So we took the bark structure and we mixed it with a beautiful old-fashioned patina effect. And then we mixed it also with all different kinds of colors that brings a very bright and expressive impression of this item. So I hope you enjoyed our creative journey. If you need more information, please check our website and don't miss our travel magazine.